Hello. Am I live? No. Yeah. Lewis is going to need the ultrasonic cleaner. The ultrasonic cleaner is not on. Hi, everybody. Let me actually get a chat open. Wish I saw the chat on the other day. I'm only in YouTube chat. I don't have restream here back here. I will be doing the replacement display connector, but before that, I have just another reballing job. It seems to come to me a lot of these keyboard chips for a A1502. So we'll go over that. But Lewis needs the ultrasonic cleaner on, so this wire won't stretch. I'll be right back. Yeah, the pin, it sucks to be me. It's from one of the songs in Avenue Q, one of the Broadway plays. Absolutely hilarious. Very politically incorrect, absolutely hilarious play. So I had something interesting that I could contribute to the conversation from my last stream. That everybody was talking about silk screening, so we happened to get a hold of these. I think they're engineering samples of the 1707, yeah, 1707 boards, and they all have all the silk screening on them. So this is a rare sight. Either you're going to see this from like 2008 and below, or unless you get a hold of these engineering samples where every single chip, every single resistor capacitor is all marked on the board. This almost looks like a PC. But yeah, we'll be harvesting this display connector to put on the display later. The first thing that I have to do... Oh, I also have this thing too. So this is a 1708 board. And this is some kind of engineering sample. It has the reset buttons, and it's populated with the LEDs, the indicator LEDs, for the power rails and stuff. I wish we had one that was a little bit more together, because, you know, of course it's missing the RAM, it's missing the CPU. But I'd love to see it in action, or either that or move this to a board and see if we can make use of some of these test points and stuff. Thought that was interesting when we got these in. SMC reset chip for the 1502. I think we have that in stock. I don't know, if you go to the website store.rossmangroup.com and you just search for whatever the chip number is, the on the schematic, the U whatever, you should get the proper result. And if we have it in stock. So these things, This is a A1502. It's a 4924 board. They're notorious for these keyboard issues. When liquid comes in on the 1502 model, it pours in right on the keyboard connector, and it just eats away at all of these little vias all right here, and you wind up having to replace most of them with wires, which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't work, because these vias, they go from here, and you see here that they just end. Some of them don't go to anywhere. Some of them you have the traces along them where you get to see where the via comes out and then it goes to something. Some of them just end nowhere. They don't go anywhere. That's because this is an end cap via, but it's actually going to something inside the board on a different layer. So it depends on how corroded the thing was from the other side. Did it corrode down to where it's actually transmitting to, and will it work? Won't it work? I don't know. I've had terrible luck with these things. I hate these things. But then the control chips. So the older MacBooks, other MacBooks just have one big control chip, and they're pretty much universal to everything. These things, they changed it up a little bit, and they have these two little BGAs, and they're the same chip. I never looked up and saw what the actual chip is, but they're the same chip and they're programmable. So they need to be put back in the same spot, and they need to be procured from a donor board because they're programmed, just like an SMC. So we're going to do these one at a time. Only this one was damaged and burnt up and everything, but I don't trust the other one, and I hate working on the keyboard. So I'm going to change both of these, and we're going to change them one at a time so we don't accidentally mix them up. Beep. This tip has been getting slower and slower at heating up. I wonder if I need a new one. Unlike some of the other people around here that eat these soldering tips for lunch, I've had that tip on this iron for probably about a year and a half. I put that on new after we did the... somebody sent us in a graphics card where they liquid metalled the current sense resistors, and the liquid metal ate away my tip. It wouldn't tin anymore, so that's when I put this on new, and I've had it ever since. So that's ready for the new one. So let's get the new one off the donor board. It sucks so much when I see a donor board that looks so much prettier than the board I'm working on. So use the right amount of flux. Okay, I used too much flux there, sorry. So here's our little keyboard chip. What do you need? I gave you my bag. Lewis has destroyed all of his XT90 power connectors for his Bafang. He's hoping that I had more, which I do not. He took all of my supply. So here's our cute little keyboard chip. Take some leaded solder, clean up all the lead-free off of this. Now, I don't wick the chip, but I just make sure that everything looks to be the same size. Nice, kind of dome-ish. And then that'll combine with the balls I'm about to put on. I read live chat, but I'm not good at it. I'm concentrating more on the work. I don't know how Lewis does it. I've sat here and watched him, and I don't know how he reads chat the entire time that he's working. So there's our chip ready. I'm going to give it a little bit of flux, just the right amount of flux. Spread it out. Give it just a nice thin layer of flux. Lewis is busy working on the Bafang. So, I don't know. He's real frustrated with these controllers he's been getting and the customer service that he's been getting from these companies where he's buying the controllers. Some of them are trying to help him, but they don't have such a great product. And then the one that does have a really great product is being the Apple of these controllers, where they're not willing to be helpful in the slightest. They have their controller locked up so you can't even modify it. But yet, what's funny about that is that it's sold as a product to modify something that really isn't modified. You know, it's, I don't know. They're being weird. The microscopes are on a slow boat from China, I believe. They weigh a lot, so the only way to get them here at a cost that is decent, so that we can be competitive with other manufacturers, is to get them shipped here slowly. So I'm not sure exactly when they're going to be. I do have to check up on that. If Apple made a bike, an electric bike, that would be something interesting. How many would trust Apple brakes? They would freaking touch disease the brakes. You're riding it wrong. That's why the brakes don't work. No, the kickstand. You would have a $999 kickstand that you would have to buy, and the thing wouldn't work without it. Somehow, like, the kickstand is integral to the chain or something, and you have to buy the kickstand for $999 more. Dump out a couple balls. Get my good tweezers. Clean them off. Okay, tweezers are clean. We could start placing. Let's see. You can't even see where they're laying. No, I can't. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I have the Omano, the newer Omano microscope here, so it has the terrible tube on the camera. So that's why the chip is out of focus. The center of the screen is in focus. This is what we're trying to avoid. None of the scope manufacturers have the good tube anymore. Lewis is the only one that has the good tube in the shop. So like this is the part that there's no way I could look up at the monitor and read any chat. I don't know how Lewis does it, because he would somehow read chat while doing this. Okay, I'm a couple balls short. 3. High is here. Why is a high there and not here? High should get the cattle prod. Okay. And we'll melt them on. Whenever people are starting out with this, their question is always, what temperature are you at? What airflow are you at? How do I use this thing? I use everything full. I have the JBC, I forget what model number this is. I have the JBC power, hot air station, and I have set at 450 at 95% air. That's pretty much what I do everything at. You regulate your temperature and your air by how close you have it to the workpiece. There, we got some melted balls. So I should try and save this whole little setup, the tape and everything, because we're just going to be doing another one of these right away. So I saved the entire thing, put it off to the side, so I don't have to retape it. So I like when this happens. When manufacturers of something build it into their chip, the clocking of it. So there's no reason for me to go to the schematic and see where pin 1 is on this, because Apple can't screw you up on where pin 1 is, because one ball is missing out of the chip. So we just put it on. If Apple had it their way, that ball would be there, just to confuse you a little bit more. Put the right amount of flux. Push down on the chip, try to move it around. You'll feel when it has fallen into the spot. Now the way I do this, I don't suggest anybody that's just starting out like this. I push down on the chip because I know when it's going to melt. So I push down on the chip just to get it to adhere. Now the flux is a little bit harder. It's going to make sure it stays there. Because if I'm pushing down on that chip when it melts, that's it. It's done. All the balls are one giant lump underneath there. Make it dance. And that one's done. Now I can just heat this one off right away. You can see how much more it takes to melt the lead-free solder. The chip I just put on there was dancing again before this one even came off. Just waiting for the iron to beep. Add some leaded solder. Pick up all that lead free. Then we'll wick the pads. I'm a habitual Q-tipper. Everything I work on gets Q-tipped while I'm working on it, after I work on it, before I work on it. Now let's harvest the next chip. It's not easy to get things to fly off the board with hot air. The lead, when it melts, it's so heavy that it doesn't want to let go of things. So unless you have a smaller nozzle than this, where it puts out a lot more air pressure than this, you can't knock things off easily. It's the perfect amount of flux. I don't want to hear that. See how it stays in a perfect little pool right around the chip. Doesn't go flying everywhere. Another thing that people always ask about and don't realize is the size of the stuff that we deal with. So these chips are pretty big as far as the stuff that we deal with all the time. But here's a penny. It's a normal penny. That's the size of the chip. The chip is smaller than the date of a penny. Load up my soldering iron with some leaded flux. I'll clean off all the lead free off of this. see, the right amount of flux. Yes, that is the right amount of flux. Spread it out.
How's it going? Lovely keyboard? Happy keyboard chip?
One happy keyboard chip. Working on the second.
Is it a happy keyboard?
Probably not.
Why not a happy keyboard?
What if they don't get along with this chip? It was friends with the old chip, but it killed the old chip.
Maybe it killed the old chip.
How do we know it's going to like this chip? What if they fight? Two chips, one stencil. Hey, Tim, how's it going? Yeah, but they're a programmable chip, Tim. Here's a better size comparison. The size of the ball. So, there's your penny. There's one ball that I'm working with. Let's see. Fit inside the B of Liberty. Now we'll melt this down into place. Okay, two of the balls don't want to go to their pads. More flux. Get on there. That's your home. Go to your home. Are you too good for your home? This thing's being a real jerk. Okay, I overheated the mat. It's all popping up. That's why it's out of focus. The chip moved. Gave me a hard time. There. Now it's centered under its pad. Let's try again. There you go. Yeah, that's funny. Call me an intern again. Okay, I'm not inclined to test this with this much flux in the connector. So this connector's been replaced, and all the wires were run. So this will get ultrasonic before any testing is done. But let's go on to... Let me switch channels, switch cameras. Oh no. Lewis just stole the fume extractor hose from an L station and just walked away with it with a funny look on his face. I don't want to know what's going on up there. So what I have here is the 1707. Is that what this is? Yeah, I think. That I changed the mux on. Friday. Friday? Yeah, Friday. And I was wondering where my test port went. So, Mux is working on the board. Everything's fine with the board. But we have here the screen connector on his screen is destroyed. So we are going to change this screen connector. Now these, I don't think Lewis doesn't do these. These things are a pain in the ass. So these things are 3 parts. You'll see as I pull the donor one apart. So this is the screen side. What is it? Samsung, LG, something like that. This is the screen cable, the backlight cable that is famously disgustingly bad because it's too short, and they wind up severing themselves right here where they get stressed every time you open it. But we are going to pull this nasty thing off of here, check the pads underneath it, check for resistance on that, and see if this screen is going to be savable. First, let's get rid of some of this hair. Burning hair smells terrible. So now you have to be careful with this because we're in a machine. We're on the screen. The clutch cover is right here. The vents are right here. This is network antennas, Ethernet antennas, wireless LAN. So we're going to use some Flux. And we are just going to wreck the shit out of this connector. I just heard something spark really loud up front, and Lewis go, yeah, so say goodbye to another Fang motor. Damn it, I don't want that to break. Stay in one piece, damn you. So that's piece number 1. There's piece number 2. And now it looks kind of like a regular connector. And we could just smash this all up. Always push in the direction of the pads if you're going to do something like this. You don't want to push across because you wind up pulling pads a lot easier that way. So I'm stuck. I think high, I think you should just be taped to the ceiling somewhere. Forget the basement. The basement sucks. But you should be taped to the ceiling or taped to a wall. We need somebody to buy 1,000 feet or 5,000 feet of duct tape so we could tape high to the ceiling. No, you cannot buy these connectors. Or at least I haven't found them yet. We can get them off of donor boards, which is what I'm going to do. I have some leaded solder on there, so now I'm going to wick it clean. Why are we so mean to high? So, the history of high. High showed up in chats, and he started having right answers and good things to contribute and awesome discussions and stuff. And then he shows up here one day and he has ability. He can fix things, he can work on things, he has smarts, he has brain. But then he just disappears. He just never shows up again. Like, where did High go? We offered him a job. We want you part-time, full-time, whatever you want to do. Come on in. You know, do some work for us. Learn some stuff too. Make us better. Let us make you better. And he just never showed up. He was a traitor. And now he finally comes around. He's learning how to fix things. He's doing editing for Lewis. He's dealing with customers. He's practically a model employee. It's just what it took to get him to show up. There's far too much tempting to get him to show up. Like, I've had some pretty crappy jobs in my day. And I can't believe seeing the people, all the time I've been here and seeing the people come through here that fuck this up. That don't want to show up to work on time, that don't want to listen to things that need to be done. Like, this is a great place to work. There's great people working here. None of the jobs that we have here are extremely difficult. Yes, some stuff like this is definitely hard. It's very specialized, but it's not like we're not digging ditches here. You're not going to hurt yourself, except for maybe the stray Nerf dart to the eye. I have a lot of automotive experience. ASE certified in 4 different areas, and I was an automotive mechanic for many years. So this is where we're pulling it from. I'm going to pull it from this test board, this engineering sample board with all of the silk screening, letting you know where everything is. Connectors that aren't even on. That connector's not even populated on the actual board. So we're going to pull it from here. So how I do that I'm going to hang it off the edge of my desk, grab something to weigh it down so it doesn't move. This is where I'm going to use a somewhat generous bit of flux. I'm going to take the tip that's still hot. Ooh, ooh. So now I have no tip on my JBC handpiece, and I'm going to heat it from underneath. A shenanigans supervisor. That would be interesting to have a shenanigans supervisor. You'd have to make sure that everybody has the proper amount of Nerf darts. We can't have, one side of the building having more Nerf darts than the other. That gets unfair. We want it to be fair at least. You have to make sure Hi gets a daily ribbing. I have no idea how we got these engineering sample boards. We have a couple of them. Just ordering donor boards from China, and that's what we eventually get. So I just heat from underneath and just keep slowly moving in closer and closer. By the time it's about smoking is when it should be melted, and pop it off. That board is going to be very hot. So now, we have to disassemble it. Well, first, I'm going to clean it. Well, actually first, I have a stray capacitor that I took off with it. Let me get that out of here. What are you? Oh, a stray diode came with it too. Interesting. Okay, so a bunch of people ask me, why do I have a T-strainer? This is why you have a T-strainer. I put my tiny little part inside the T-strainer, lock it up, and into the ultrasonic cleaner it goes. Ow. I cut my knuckle wide open, opening up a that touch bar earlier, and I forgot, like, who remembers that you gotta cut, and I dunked this in the tub of alcohol, and just my paper towel bandage thing just soaked up all kinds of alcohol right into my cut. That sucked. Um, Lewis does not need to steal my tea strainer. We have a bunch of them. I bought a pack of like 5 or something on purpose so that nobody has to touch mine. Okay. So now we need to disassemble this, because the only way to get this onto most things, I never suggest doing what I did to take it off to put it back on, because that's only reserved for donor boards. Because any chip that I heated from underneath there, I probably killed something. So a lot of times, look at your donor board around here anyway. You got to look at your donor board and see if a connector was heated off, because you might not want to trust. I took it off of there. Might not want to trust anything from underneath, but there's nothing underneath here that would have got overheating. There's just a coil, and then all that stuff would be fine. A good engineer, a good layout engineer, a good designer knows when something would be heated from underneath, and they usually put it kind of out on a tab and don't put anything underneath it. Some designers are conscious about that. I've seen it in a couple different appliances where like Lewis's camera, the Sony Alpha camera, when I did the HDMI port on it, there's nothing anywhere underneath the HDMI port, because they know the only way to get that thing on and off is to heat it from underneath, because it's double rows of pins inside of it. So now I need a good pair of tweezers, and I use a dental pick. Darjeeling? I don't like Darjeeling tea. I like Earl Grey. I like Bergamot oil, and I like because it has Bergamot oil. I like English tea #1. I forget who makes it. It's one of the bigger tea houses. Has this English tea #1 that has some Bergamot oil in it. I like that. So we put this in a safe place till later. Let me take off this one. And there is our reclaimed, ready to solder on connector. non-chlorinated brake cleaner only for cuts. But I don't like brake cleaner as much as I like Berkebile 2+2 gum cutter. That is the best for washing your hands, washing some blood or oil, grease out of your clothes. Oh, fucking son of a bitch. I took the wrong connector. Oh, that's funny. Did nobody notice that while I was reading chat? Son of a... Okay. Scrap that. Now I have a new connector. Next time I need a charge port connector. Completely forgot that they're two different sizes. So, where are they? Whenever we have broken screens, like physically broken screens, we always cut this board off of it. So any of you guys that are doing screens, it's a good idea to cut these boards off of it, and you have a screen connector and the backlight connectors. These things can be useful, and you have male and female backlight connectors. So you have like a little bit of everything that you need on these little boards. So it's always good, throw away the rest of the screen that's broken. You'll throw away the glass, but keep this little board around. So now let's reclaim this one off of this board. That was dumb. Actually, yeah. I need the device of much gravity. Lewis stole the device of much gravity. I must go yell at Lewis. I have the device of excess gravitational force. Also known as a HAKKO Omnivice, model number C1390C. Much gravity. Or much density, whatever you subscribe to. If you subscribe to density, you should get off this channel. So Lewis was actively using this. I will go give him back the device of excess gravitational force. see the appeal of having a wireless microphone. Oh, why am I even putting it back on? I need to go over to the ultrasonic cleaner. Ay, Dios mío. One moment, please. Yeah, those little screen boards heat up a lot quicker. My Earl Grey screen connector is ready. Now let's do this again. Aw, man. One of the pins dropped out. Ugh. I have flux on this. Housekeeping. Housekeeping? Stop sticking to everything. go. Put that in a safe spot. Stop turning. Now that we have the right connector, so now putting Flux on is just going to move it anyway. Sucks because it was aligned perfectly. And we try to tack 1 or 2 pins. Doesn't matter what pins. Doesn't matter if they're bridge now or anything. Just something to tack it into place. That looks about right. I moved it. It's really hard to solder just the pins and not melt the connector while you're doing this. You don't want to melt the substrate as much as you can. The large pins I might have to come back with a large soldering iron to get. I'll try them with the micro pencil, but I don't think it'll get them. Thermaltronics iron, was that the one that had something that looked like a HAKKO tip, but a HAKKO handpiece, but it was bigger? It was like the bigger HAKKO handpiece that we use, and it was just a little black box that powers the handpieces. Because if it was that one was absolute trash. The tips were knockoff tips. Half of them didn't even work. Actually did melt some solder there. My poor little micro pencil tip has been alive for so long that the very tip of it, that very pointy tip, just doesn't melt solder anymore. It lost all its coating. Been looking in to see if I could figure out how to replate a tip. But the funny thing is, I'm the only person in here that would ever keep a tip long enough where I could replate it. Anel and Camille have been going through micro pencil tips like you wouldn't believe. I think Anel's going through them because he doesn't have a sleep station. Or no, Camille's going through them because he doesn't have a sleep station. I don't know what Anel's doing with his micro soldering tips that's wasting them. I don't know if he's using them to pick his teeth or something. I have no idea. So now I'm going to turn the entire thing around to try to get into that. I briefly looked into what it's actually plated with. I think it's plated with... what is it? It's a copper tip plated with iron, then plated with copper again or something like that. I forget. I need to look into it again. It didn't sound hard, whatever it was. Iron tip just plated with copper and then tinned with solder. If it's that's pretty easy to do. You could copper plate something pretty easily. Just stuff from Home Depot. Yeah, whatever that's connected to is big. It won't let me get solder on it, so I'll have to use a big tip. That worked. Sure, can't get this one. Come on, I got all the others. Ah, that worked. Cool. They do not have, or I don't know of any expos for soldering SMD equipment or anything like that. So Lewis a while ago came back from LTX. He was invited to go out to LTX, and when he came back, he was really excited to try to get something like that here for right to repair SMD components, SMD manufacturers, repair station manufacturers. Try to get HAKKO, JBC, Quick. Try to get them all represented in some kind of conference, some kind of expo, something to talk about all of this stuff. Let them shill their stuff out in front of people, have questions and answers and all that stuff. But New York City is not the place to do that. Even the smallest, crappiest meeting space in New York City is ridiculous amounts of money.
You said you were going to take me to the Javits Center for my birthday. You were going to...
Lewis wants us to rent out the Javis Center. The Jacob Javis Center. Okay, we need some kind of venture capitalist or something to do that. If any of you have been to the International Auto Show in New York, or been to the Jacob Javis Center, the place is massive. Unbelievably massive. I could just imagine what it costs to rent out that place. There's some towns that can fit inside the Jacob Java Center. I don't know. It's a possibility that maybe we could do that in like Jersey somewhere, Jersey City or Edgewater, or maybe even somewhere by me. But there's no way we're going to be able to get a space in New York unless we get some kind of like real sponsors for it or something. And I don't think it like HAKKO doesn't like us. Like yeah, we shill the hell out of HAKKO, and you know it is the best iron for the job. Mostly because of the sleep and the way the tips are made and everything. HAKKO is just the workhorse for this job. Back in the day, it used to be Weller, but Weller is just they've had no innovation. They've had nothing good. But HAKKO doesn't like us ever since we reviewed the what is it, the 888 or no, what was that hot air station with the terrible interface? FR810. Like yeah, it's a good powerful hot air station. It's got a power to it, but try changing the settings on it.
It's less powerful and quick, and it costs $850.
Yeah, the cost is ridiculous. It is less powerful than the Quick by the numbers. Really.
The chip is coming off in like 30 to 40 seconds more than
You know, Quick did something awesome with their station. I really like the JVC that I have on my desk here, but the Quick is an amazing station for that price. That's just spectacular. So that looks good. Nothing bridged.
How was keyboard?
I didn't test it. It needs to be UC'd. That connector's all gummed up. I'm not gonna stick a keyboard wire in that.
Put the microphone in the ultrasonic cleaner for that?
No, but I didn't mute or anything. I don't have a mute, so I don't know if it went across or not.
Wait, you don't have a mute.
Maybe Apple will sponsor. The repair in front of the Apple Store sounds like an idea, but even better than that, I have a large format printer. I want to print up some a sandwich board, one of those wearable signs. For next time Kevin drops the ball really bad, we're gonna have him go in front of the Apple Store with a sign that says, "Don't let them lie to you. We can fix your stuff. Your data's not gone." And just have him there for 8 hours. Like, fine, you want to be useless on Freshdesk, then you'll go be useful standing there for 8 hours.
I think that's something we should implement starting tomorrow.
So now I got to put the surround back on. I just pop it in. Kevin is not here. Kevin was here yesterday. I thought Mikey was supposed to be here today. I don't know. I'm losing track of the schedule. I'm supposed to be a manager in this place, and I'm losing track of the schedule. People are showing up when I don't think they're supposed to show up. They aren't here when I think they're going to be here. I thought Anel was here today. Yeah, Nell's out getting his hands tore up by rope. Okay, that completes our screen connector. Let's clean it up real good and... Oh, I forgot to... I could have just wasted all this time. I forgot to check the resistance on the pins that were burnt up. But the board was not burnt up. It was definitely only the connector. When I cleaned up the board was perfect. So let's see. Gotta look at it the other way. And it was those two, top right corner. Multimeter in ohms mode. I don't have multimeter display because I'm all the way in the back of the store on my desk. So let's see here. That to this. 15, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23 million ohms, 30 million ohms. Yep, that is a good reading. Unlike when I read it the other day, it was, what was it? 200 ohms? Okay, board. These boards are just fighting with me today. These machines. I got cut yet again. Either that or I had a headache earlier. I took a bunch of aspirin. Made my blood too thin, so now I'm bleeding like a stuck pig for everything. Okay. Screen cable. Attached to screen. One charge port. That's all we need. I don't care about touch bar. I don't care about speakers. I don't care about battery. I don't care... Well, let's connect fans. So we could see fan spin. Take my USB-C charger. 5 volts. 20 volts. On and off. On again. 1.5 amps. 1 amp. Fan is spinning. And the Apple is thinking. The Apple logo. Awesome. Let's get test OS so we could actually boot into an OS. Connect trackpad so keyboard works. Let's just connect everything. Touch bar. Speaker. Who cares about microphone? Speaker. Power button. Or that's fingerprint reader. That's power button. And let me go grab a test OS with a USB-C. A test OS. Here's a test OS with a USB-C plug. Plug it in there. Plug this in here. Hold down the Option key. What? Is this thing broken? What? So the front of the store, they go through these cables like crazy. It's either this cable is broken or this has no USB communication. I'm putting my money on this cable is broken. They break these things like crazy. Let me find a different cable. Okay, that's not a good sign that I got two of these USB-C cables and neither one of them are working. Let me see if I can find the adapter to go to regular USB and use my test OS. Okay, so the guys up front have broken all of their USB-C to SATA adapters. And I found this up front too. This is actually Orhan's and it belongs in the middle room. So they probably know that their two things are broken, and they were on their way to breaking this. I have not done a drunken repair video here. My preferred booze, Di Serono. Either that, or we wound up with a thing of Tito's. Was it handmade vodka? That stuff was amazing. What? What is this lost password shit? Oh, this won't let me start up into Sierra. Yeah. I don't have Mojave on this, so yeah. Well, it works. Just software issues, blah blah blah, whatever. Well, that's changing a. Well, I guess this will be edited all together for one video. So that's changing the mux on a 1707 and changing the screen cable. Well, screen cable, I guess I showed you the screen cable. And the screen connector. So there you go. We saved a screen at least. These screens are expensive. So just putting the connector on, we saved the screen. I'm glad to see it didn't have any backlight issues, any water spots in it. So this customer should be happy. I hope. Unless they're already raging about how long it took. Lewis stopped drinking. Lewis doesn't drink anymore. He actually liked the Di Serono when I brought it in here. I had a big bottle of Di Serono here. It disappeared on me. So I wonder if I have anything else to fix. Anything else that's fixable at that point. Oh, I have a 486 to put a take off the CPU and put a CPU socket on. It's gonna be. I guess that'll be for some time. If whoever sent this, if you're watching, yeah, it's here. We're gonna get to it, but you were warned. It's an extra project. It's not something that we do. So when we get time, we'll do it. Things will wind up slowing down a little bit for the summer. The Serono donation, awesome. Thank you very much, JP. I will get that from Lewis, and I will definitely buy the biggest bottle of Di Serono the store has. I already got the shot glasses. I always have shot glasses here. Boom. Shot glasses on the MacBook. And Lewis is blowing his horn. He installed a little car horn on his bike. He's going to scare the shit out of people. I know he's going to abuse the hell out of that. That's going to be funny as hell. Tim, I just saw that in Lewis's inbox next to his desk over there. The stuff looks like peanut butter in that. You know what? Let's do that. I'm going to go get that. Let's see what that looks like. Maybe I could devise something real quick for that. So Tim from TCRS Circuits, he sent us. He was unhappy with the last tube of Flux that he bought from us. He said the formula didn't seem right. I did see that in one of the tubes, one of the shipments that we got. I think we did dispose of some of that stuff, and we got some different from Amtech. I think we took it up with them. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But so he went and bought some new formulation. So what we use is the NC 559 V2 Flux. So he got the NC 560 LF Flux. So this is supposed to be a new formulation. So the NC is no clean. You don't have to clean this stuff. It's not going to adversely affect your circuit board if you just leave it on. And number 560, I don't know what LFTF is. Ours is V2TF. Well, let's see how this works. So a lot of times people get a big tube of flux from us and they complain that it's too hard to push in with a plunger. When you push in and put it down on the desk, it keeps coming out. I have found a way to avoid that. You take the plunger here. We don't need this to seal. This already has a seal in here. So you don't need the plunger to seal, but you do need it to just retain or you don't need the rubber to seal it. You just need the rubber to retain this in here. Because if you don't use the rubber, then this thing doesn't stay here. It doesn't clip into anything. It just falls out. You can take your rubber. Always want to wear your rubber. Now, this is the only time you should do this, is cut your rubber. So I take some nice big chunks out of the sides here so that it only has a couple little points that it contacts the barrel of the syringe. So now it has just a couple points around it where it will contact the syringe wall. Then I take a little bit of grease And now there's no air that builds up in between here that is going to want to create more pressure to push out the flux when you're not holding it. And it slides nice and easy in here so that when you push it in, it's going to rebound back out and not force more flux out after you let it go. Oh, Tim, this stuff actually has rosin in it. It's no clean flux with rosin. That's why it's that color. Because usually if you have rosin in your flux, that means you do want to clean it, because the rosin is the acidic part of the flux. Okay, so let's see. Let's see how quick it burns off. Let me put some down here. So this is the old stuff. This is the stuff we currently stock. It burns off how I expect it to. Leaves a little bit of black soot on everything when you burn it off like this. And that's what I'm used to. Okay. Now let's try the new stuff. Ooh, that burns off a little bit slower. I did use a little bit more. Same amount of, a little bit more soot, it looks like. I would expect that with more rosin, maybe. Let's try it on a board. Ooh, that's something I would like to see. So let me go up over here on the top of my map. Let me do that again. Some of that. Some of that. I'm going to use up all of its ability. I'm going to let them both cool over here and see which one cleans up easier. Let them both cool. Let's see, I got a donor board sitting here. What could I solder on? What's good, what's good, what's good? Should we do a 5-volt regulator? Let's try resoldering a 5-volt regulator as if I was doing a U8900. Ooh, that looks so different. This is exactly how I would solder a U8900. It's just about the same chip. Flux is lasting a good long time. It's not running away. It's staying exactly where I need it. I like the way that performs. That stayed there pretty good. How about cleanup on this? That cleans up about how I would expect. How I would think the other one would. Tim, did you call them and talk to them to order this, or did you just shop their catalog and say, "Oh, I'll try this newer stuff," or did you fall for like a pamphlet or brochure or something like that? Because really, you would think we sell a lot of Flux through our store. Thank you to everybody that's ordering. Um, you would think that if they have a new product that they would want us to check out, or something that they think would suit electronics needs better, or something like that, that they would send us a sample, send us some engineering samples. Here, try this. Maybe you like this. Maybe your customers would like this. Because we're selling a lot of Flux. We're ordering a couple hundred every month, and you think that the company would reach out to us, and maybe we're just a small fish. Maybe they're selling a lot more Flux somewhere else. Yeah, that cleans up nice. It's exactly how I would expect. I like it. Yeah, I like the way that works. Maybe we'll see what price point is and order some. Try it. I'm almost done on my Flux. I might just take this for myself, Tim. Nah, that's probably what I'm gonna do. My tube is almost gone. I've had this for this poor tube has been with me for I don't know, about 6 months, 7 months, 7 months now, maybe 8 months, for me to go through a tube here. So yeah, I only have about a 1/4 inch left of Flux in there. I'm gonna take this new one, and I'm gonna work with this. I'll work this out, and I'll see how it works for me. Now let's go back to this. Let's see how it cleans up. Gonna take a paper towel with some 99% alcohol. Hopefully I could cover both of them at the same time in one swipe and see which one cleans up more. I'll try to be fair, get the same amount of pressure, same amount of alcohol on both, and swipe. One more. Swipe. Ooh, oh, ooh, look at that. The new stuff cleaned up so much easier. How about that? Anybody that knows me knows that I'll love it if it cleans up easier. Look at that. Just about nothing left of the new stuff, and still a bunch of spots left of the old stuff. Okay, I like that. And it took like 6 more swipes to remove the old stuff. My tube isn't expired. I don't care about 6 months old versus new. Let's see. March. Mine is January 2019 manufacture date. March 2019. I don't know, the Flux shouldn't lose its properties over time. The one I have at home, I don't do that much work at home anymore. I spend so much time in the city. The one I have at home is expired by probably about a year now, and it works exactly the same. I don't see any reason to not use expired Flux. Well, I guess that's about it. I don't think I have anything else to work on today. I have like one thing in my queue, and it's going to be a complete and total hellhole. So, I'm not streaming hellholes. So I guess this also is a successful test of our 100 feet of HDMI cable. 200 feet of HDMI cable. And 100 feet of XLR. Oh, you know what? Nobody's done this on stream yet. I mean, is this board? No, that's a good board. Let me get a destroyed board. I'll let somebody else test that. Anel can test the keyboard on Monday, so then when it doesn't work, he can troubleshoot it. Or Orhan can test it so he could give it to Anel on Monday. I do not want anything to do with a 1502 keyboard if I can avoid it at all costs. So what we have here, sent from some awesome freaking fan of us, what is it? Parmac Precision Stockmaster Stock Prod. So this is made so that when you have a 800-pound cow that doesn't want to listen to you, it will listen to you. So our 180-pound high, 150-pound high, he'll listen to this. So what we have here is a piece of junk, 2936, old ass, messed up, completely dead. Let's make it more dead. This isn't a good chip for this. It's not working. I'll find a better chip. Oh shit, is that really turning? Oh, I didn't even notice that. The high frequency is turning off So you get to see one little spark, but the high frequency noise, whatever frequency this is on, and it's generating, when it arcs, it's going to turn off the camera. That's interesting. Oh well. Can't show you me destroying things. I'll have to do it the old-fashioned way, just kill it with fire. Oh well. I don't think anybody's been poked with this cattle prod yet. No, Anel did it to himself. He said it hurt, and it only hurt right where it hit him. It didn't go anywhere, and it hurt for a while, too. You think it'll turn off this camera, too? Yeah, but you can't see anything. You gotta see it through the microscope. This thing has little sparks everywhere. It doesn't turn off that camera.
Fixed it?
Oh, fixed.
Nut?
Nut what?
Do we have nut for this?
Do we have a nut for that? Possibly. I doubt it. Ooh. Say hi to your audience.
Hello, audience.
Do it to Lewis and show us.
Fuck you, audience.
Wow. Box of nuts. I need something that goes through the DC to DC converter so that I can put it to that plumber's tape thingy. That looks like something.
Yeah, that's not gonna fit that though.
Maybe it'll fit to a different
It'll
square,
fit
though.
this, I think. Bless you.
Excuse me.
No.
Super black?
No. Yes.
But that screw may be too fat to go through. Let's see.
And I have something else. I need to buy an assortment of hardware to keep here. This is all of the extra excess parts of everything, like mounts, monitor mounts.
That doesn't work. Zip ties it. Hello, zip ties.
You don't want your bolt back?
What?
You don't want your bolt back that you brought here?
Let's see, bolt. If I find one for this when I go to the hardware store.
Oh shit, 7:21. I have to be going to catch my train. So yeah, thanks for hanging out for the extra ramble after here. Cattle Prod Kopaz. Kopaz stopped by here not that long ago. He 3D printed, and then I don't know if any of you guys have been around for that long. He 3D prints all kinds of stuff. He 3D printed a battleship, a pretty intricate, pretty large model that he made. And he did another one, and this time he left cavities on the inside of it and everything for motors. And he has three drive motors, two for steering and one for forward motion. Then he has a transmitter receiver and everything. So he has 3D printed and built all on breadboards and everything. It's freaking awesome inside there. This remote control ship. It's pretty cool. Okay. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you guys learned something. Have a good my weekend, as I say. I'm off Monday, Tuesday. See you guys later.